Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the Fall-Up Hour once again here from Online Darts. Myself, Jack Garwood, joining you this evening alongside the very capable Mr. Carwin Evans. Carwin, welcome back once again. How are we doing?
Oh, thank you very much. It's good to be back. I'm well. I'm very well, thank you. It's just been a crazy night of darts. I think I'm in a bit of shock, emotions all over the place. It's 2024 is the year of the underdog. It's crazy, absolutely mental.
It's been a crazy year of darts, not just a crazy night of darts, but it continued this evening in Wolverhampton nonetheless. Chat room is starting to build up nicely. Plenty of people joining us. Joel says, what a day of darts, my goodness. Bob, one of our members, is in saying good evening, everyone. Jamie Wyman says evening all. David says hello, gents. Martin Lukeman, he knows. The man knows, he's been around here long enough. Darren says even had some interesting results tonight. Patrick is in on it on the Martin Lukeman shouts too. I will be there no matter what. Don't make me do this, but I will be there in Minehead once again this year, following that man around on the inevitable outside boards. Not because that's how I think of Martin, but that's because how the PDC consider Martin. Shouting, Martin Lukeman. Yeah, Sky Sports Boys did return tonight. He was in Wolverhampton supporting Cameron Menzies. Sandra's in, one of our members as well, saying good evening. But we promised you a normal show tonight, and that is pretty much what you folks are going to get from us. Carmen and I are going to run through the 4 results from this evening. We do have clips from 3 of those players. Then we'll look ahead to tomorrow night, and then we'll go to bed at what we consider as close to a reasonable hour as possible, because I'm refereeing the double tomorrow at the Super Series. So let's get on with this. Mate, it never stops. I did 121 games, not last week, week before.
Oh, wow.
Plus a 9-dart shootout on the Saturday night, and refereed 3 games on a quadro board for content. Never again. I worked out the record I can do in a week if I have a county fixture and referee every session at Super Series is 140.
Oh, wow. So you got close.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go for that at some point. I just need it to line up properly. But I might need about 3 weeks to recover. Anyway, what we do need to recover from is a night of shocks and upsets once again at the Aldersley Leisure Village, starting with Danny Noppert's defeat to Mickey Mansel, Carwin. It was a little bit of a strange performance from Danny Noppert, but it was a superb one from Mickey Mansel, just under the 100 mark, in and around that 60% on the doubles. Once again, 66.7%. For Mansell, 10 from 15. His finishing for this entire tournament has been nothing short of exceptional.
Yeah, and I think that's what it takes for a player like Mickey Mansell, who's not high up in the rankings to do well, is to nail those doubles. We spoke about it a couple of nights ago when we were looking back at his group and how we got through it and stuff. It's the double percentages that's going to win you games, and by finishing so well, it improves your average, and which makes you competitive. As in, I also get the impression now that these boys are just playing with no fear. They've seen what's happened this year with the Decker, Richie Edhouse winning majors, and they just think, look at themselves and think, if he can do it, why can't I? And Mickey Mansell just seems to have the balance right with everything in his life. He seems to be in the perfect headspace for him to do well on the big stage. And it's crazy to think it could be a Grand Slam finalist in a couple of days. As in, he's playing at a level where if he can maintain the double percentages, and he's hit a few 180s this week as well. If he can continue with that, there's no reason why you couldn't be talking about him as a Grand Slam champion come Monday night on the Live Lounge.
Yeah, 4 180s this evening for Mickey Mansell. 12 140s, actually outscoring Danny Noppert in that metric. And 28 ton plus visits from Mickey Mansell. Just so straight and so solid, putting Danny under all sorts of pressure. There were moments in this game where perhaps you thought Noppert would have enough, given his experience, former major champion, winning the UK Open, also a World Series finalist, I think it was, off the top of my head. When he wins the first 2 legs, you're thinking, right, Mickey's got to get going here, manages to get going, reels off 6 in a row. Then Danny gets in at 6-4 at the break, and you're thinking, right, Danny's going to have a crack here. He's only a breakdown now. You expect the scoring power to come from Danny, but every single opportunity that came was in favour of Mansel. He just kept ploughing on and ploughing on and ploughing on, and Noppert came back out of that second break a little stale, and it's cost him.
Yeah, exactly. It was the 12th leg, I think, where he could have brought it back to 6-6. And you're thinking then, if he holds his darts there, he probably finds that gear to win the game. But after seeing his lead slip from 6-2 to 6-5, I think Mansell breaking there just sort of gave him that breathing space he needed, and he just found that composure again then to go on and win it. And it's I don't want to say I'm in shock, because that's sort of disrespectful to Mickey Mansell, but had you asked me before the start of play, I'd have probably predicted something similar the other way in terms of performance and result. But hats off to Mickey Mansell, as in I think a few things have riled him a bit in sort of in relation to James Wade forgetting who he was and what have you. But no, fair play to him. He's a Grand Slam of Darts quarter-finalist, and who knows how far he could go.
Yeah, who knows indeed. Let's hear then from Mickey Mansell in his post-match press conference this evening.
I've no answers for it, you know what I mean? He doesn't remember my name, he doesn't remember me beating me, so whatever happens. You Spice was talking to him more than I am, but like, he couldn't remember my name 3 days ago, so he'd probably not remember me beating him. Yeah, massive, because Danny done the same. I tell you, the two boys would be very bad poker players, you know what I mean? You don't tell somebody what you don't want, you know what I mean? And look, that man's laid it, he's put his soul on the table, you know what I mean? I play darts the way I play it, you know what I mean? If he doesn't like it, it's up to him, you know what I mean? But as I say, if you're a poker player, you don't tell somebody what you don't want, because if you tell somebody what you don't want, you'll get more of it.
I'm surprised Mickey's not gotten onto this in the past, because there aren't many of the top pros that enjoy playing at the pace that Mickey plays darts at, and there's nothing wrong with it. He's just incredibly solid and rhythmical in his own sense. But he's kind of got a point there, hasn't he? If you don't want to play somebody at that pace, don't bang on about it to Polly James on stage and anybody else that will listen, because he'll take advantage of it.
Exactly, as in he's not stupid, is he? As in, if something annoys your opponent, you're gonna not use all your cards or play all your tricks, but you're gonna use it to your advantage, and that's exactly what he did. And he's now laughing in the quarterfinal whilst Danny exits as the last 16 in probably what he'll think and look back on with time as a massive missed opportunity. The way the top half of the draw sort of played out at the end of the group stage, as in it was a big chance for him, I think, Noppert, and he's let this one go.
That's sort of the story of the last couple of months, because we can sit here and talk about the fact that perhaps Luke Humphries will have looked at the back end of the Grand Prix from the last day onwards and the European Championships, as well as the draw starts to open up, and see that as a missed opportunity. But even after he falls, Danny Noppert was still lingering around in both of those tournaments, I believe, and he's not been able to capitalise on either of them as well, which probably hurts more for Noppy when you see somebody of Luke going, right, this is where you need to clean up, man. This is where you can have a crack at it and add to that UK Open title he's won previously.
Yeah, Luke Humphries will not exit many tournaments before the last 16. When he does, you've got to capitalise. And especially when, as we discussed last night, so many of the top 16 players didn't even qualify with the Grand Slam, as in it's probably the biggest chance for a lot of these players to get their hands on a big trophy. And yeah, he'll sort of think, I should have been looking to add this to my collection, but wasn't to be tonight.
Yeah, you said Luke Humphries won't exit very often. This is one of those tournaments where he has exited early. Mickey Mansell has taken advantage of that so far, as has Cameron Menzies. And if we sit here and ask him now how's he done it, I'm not sure he'll be able to tell you. The man is a complete lunatic, but he is some dart player, and he's finally getting that bit of the rubber to green that he needs to kick on as a serious contender.
Oh yeah, this was a game of about 12 halves, as in it seesawed back and forth, and you sort of thought when one of them was taking control, the other one was bouncing back, and fair play to Menzies, especially sort of when he went 6-4 down after leading 4-2. Was it? No, 4. No, I wasn't leading 4-2. Was it? 4? Yes, he was leading 4-2. Sorry. When he was leading 4-2, you're sort of thinking, right, if he can just hold his throw here, he's laughing. But then obviously Wade breaks and brings it back to lead 6-4. I think 12 months, 18 months ago, Menzies, his head drops and he loses that game 10-4. I think his recent resurgence in form and getting over the line has given him that confidence to think, I can do it. And obviously, we can't forget, 2 days ago, he changes his Facebook profile picture to Danny Noppert because he thinks he's out the tournament. He loses 5-1, should have been going home. Noppert does him a favour, and now he's in the quarterfinal. As in, this is... You could see the relief at the end. As in, I think anybody who watched tonight saw the celebration when he looked like he'd passed out on stage. And clearly it means a lot to him. He just needs to keep his emotions now under control until after the quarterfinal and then see where he is then. Because what he doesn't want is to go over the top and burn out probably and burn out too soon for what he wants to do.
James Wade out of the group for a 17th straight time in this tournament. I saw yesterday he's only ever finished second 6 times. That means he's won his group 11 times as well. He'll be disappointed with this, but arguably Menzies is the complete wrong character for James Wade to stave off in a comeback because he's the sort that will get up by the antics and Cammy getting involved with the crowd who are giving him a bit from the front left of the stage if you're looking out from where the players are. And that will just start to tick off someone who, despite all of his experience, James won't like that. He's old school, get your darts, get on with it, get out of the way. And when someone's on that bit of run and everything's going right and he's taking out the 85 that he does clinically and the 97 double-double, they're the sort of ones where you can almost see it in James that he just doesn't have the scoring power to respond at that point when he gets a little bit angry.
Yeah, and I think as well, Menzies seemed to feed off the crowd even before the game started when they were Scotland get battered and that football chant was being sung around. He doesn't mind getting involved with it, and yeah, as you say, that will just not sit well with James. And he's one of those that when things go against him, he sort of we get to know about it, we see it. But again, Menzies just, as you say, once he gets into that groove, into that rhythm, when things land in the right place, he seems to find treble after treble and hits the... As in, he's one of those players, once he gets on a roll, he's very hard to stop. And I'm chuffed for him to see him get over the line because, as you said in the introduction, he needs that bit of luck or he's finally getting that bit of luck that's probably eluded him for such a long time.
Yeah, not bad for a bloke that was at work fixing some toilets earlier on in the day as well. Here is Cameron Menzies in his post-match press conference.
I won. I don't think it was a great performance, but I won. I'm in the last day at the Grand Slam. I don't think it was a great game. I think it was a very sluggish battle. I think I've got more in the tank. I think I'm a better player than that, but I need to learn to play on that stage. I'm not performing great on the stage yet. I'm hoping that comes. My inspiration's Luke over the years because Luke Humphries is the man at the moment and he wasn't great from the start. I ain't playing well on the stage at the moment, but I'm hoping I can build towards that.
From Menzies, there are worse players to be inspired by than the current world number 1 and world champion. Let's dive into the chat room a little bit. Mansel doesn't have to play another game against a player he played in the group. Good spot, Bob, correct. That means Menzies will play Mansel, who started in groups A and B respectively. Funny enough, both of them finished second in their groups and have now both beaten the player who finished first in the opposite groups. The same cannot be said for the other half of this draw, where both players from Group C have progressed. We'll talk about that in a moment. Mansel was relentless with his game, says all boxed up. Yes, he was. Not putting the leg Mickey through for the leg didn't treble in about 15 darts. Sometimes it happens. His first dart's low. He's very much a first dart merchant. And if you're then chasing, it cannot happen for you. Don't think Wade was being poor in his interview. Mansell just made that a lot bigger tonight. Well, he's used it and inspired him to get over there. And then had a pot, which he's entitled to do. Predicted Noppert, Wade, Smith, and Edhouse. Yeah, all 4 players that were higher ranked. Maybe not Cross, actually. But yeah, close enough. Is Mickey being slow, being overplayed? Other players take all day, take out darts and get into the hockey. Mickey there's a slow one. I actually think he's sped up a little bit. He certainly seems more rhythmical at the hockey. There was a time where there was a big pause, once when he settled himself, and then actually between each dart. But he certainly seems to be getting on with it a little bit. Joe says, amazing game. Even Menzies 180s weren't there, but he dug in. On Monday, 10 plus checkouts, he kept his bottle. Correct. Daniel says, think Mansell beats Menzies on form. On to Group C, and we start with the third game of the night, Martin Lukeman against Ross Smith. And if the first 2 were slight upsets, I absolutely love Martin Lukeman, but we all know the calibre of Ross Smith. His form right now, though, just seems to not be there. And Martin Lukeman has done a number on Ross Smith in the scorebook.
Oh, exactly, yeah. As in, last night, I bravely predicted Ross Smith to get to the final of the Grand Slam of that, so that's how much I know. But yeah, I think, again, Ross Smith will look back at this side of the draw and think, what have I done here? Why have I let this slip? But credit where it's due. Lukeman is another one who's probably seen what Edhouse has done this year, seen what Mike the Decker's done this year, and say, why can't it be me? And it feels like the lower ranked players are sort of maybe realizing how much this side of the draw is opening up more than the higher seeded player, and actually thinking, right, this is probably my best chance of getting to a major final at this moment in time, because so many great players in that, it's very, very hard to make finals. And yes, Ross Smith missed quite a few doubles, but that's not Lukeman's fault. And he did what he had to get through this game. And I think a big thing with that was outscoring Smith on the 180s. If you get him more 180s than Smith, you're giving yourself a shot. But 10-5, I did not expect it to be that one-sided, I guess. From, again, 6-4, sort of after 10 legs, Lukeman takes control after the break and wins 4 of the next 5 legs. Is
that a case of composure? Is that a case of Ross Smith knowing that he's not in form and the minute it's going against him, the fight perhaps isn't there a little bit? Or is that, again, super reliant on that first dart and it just seemed a little bit low for Ross Smith tonight?
Yeah, and it is one of those, isn't it? When his first dart does go low, he does struggle. And he's still got a bit of that, when things aren't going his way, he sort of, I'm not going to say give up because that's not the right word, but he doesn't have the inner strength maybe, or the mental strength to get over that. It's not going right tonight, I can still win this game. When it doesn't go right for him, he unfortunately loses more often than he doesn't. And Lukeman may have seen that and just thought, right, I've got him here. I've got him where I want. Let's just concentrate on my game and get over the line.
He did indeed. Let's then hear from Smash as he makes his second TV quarterfinal of the year.
I'm feeling good. It's my second TV quarterfinal this year. UK Open and now this. I want to go one more, or maybe 3. Is it? You know, I want that picture of my wife on the stage. I don't care about the money and trophy. I want that picture of my wife saying we're winners. There's a lot goes in darts. So I was saying to Alan earlier, you know, the wives behind the backgrounds, they do a lot of work. And I want that picture. I just got to win, don't I? Get over that line and just win. You know, if I get this quarter-final out of the way, who knows? Richie, the Decker, the last 2 competitions, you know, can mix it right up. Martin Lukeman, you know, Premier League will be a right bundle then, won't it?
I love it. I love it. But when the players are confident enough to be, do you know what? Genuinely, it's so open this year, and some of the big names are struggling that actually winning something like the Grand Slam and a big run at the World Championships with the confidence of that just might put you in there out of nowhere. There are going to be a couple of surprise inclusions this year. I have absolutely no doubt. One inclusion that I fully expect to be there, though, is Voltage Rob Cross. Been solid this year without being spectacular, but he is a player who played there last year, and with the rest of the big names, shall we say, faltering, and the provisional world number 3 after the World Championships, he is pretty much in the Premier League right now, and he's also into the quarterfinals of the Grand Slam of Darts with one of the best displays on the outer ring you are ever going to see in this sport.
Yeah, it's disgusting to think that over 16 legs, he averaged over 80% on his doubles, and he seems to have the ability to just go on a roll within a game and be faultless. And I think that's why maybe he doesn't need to win tournaments to maintain his ranking, because he'll do enough in all of the tournaments. When most players have an off day, even if Rob Cross has an off day, it's usually good enough to win a game at the moment. And I don't think he's not playing his best darts, I don't think, that we've seen, but he's doing enough, and he's qualifying for all the tournaments, and he's going deep. He's getting to the quarters, he's getting to the semi, and he's just enjoying his darts. As in, I think when he's smiling, as in, I love watching him play when he's in the right frame of mind, and you know he's got that sort of swagger about him. As in, he's just he's one of the best players to play to watch playing, and he's just gonna probably be a player that sticks around for a very long time. But because he's not all singing or dancing, might not get the same credit or the same recognition as some other players, but he'll just do enough to linger, and sort of in a James Wade-esque style career, he sticks around the top 8, top 10 for 10, 15 years, because he just does enough in every tournament to maintain that the ranking money he wins year on year. And I think just tonight he showed that. Edhouse is probably one of the best players of the year in terms of the way his games come on, and he just blew him apart really from 3-all. He's just gone, not tonight, sorry, Edhouse. We've had 3 upsets. I'm making sure there's one higher seeded player making it to the quarterfinal.
Well, at 3-2 down, were you a little bit concerned for Rob Cross? Because he looked a bit sluggish in that opening mini session, didn't he? But to come out and react the way that he did against somebody of Richie's caliber and ability this year speaks wonders to Rob Cross, who, let's not forget, you just compared him to James Wade there in the style of career that Rob Cross might have. He is one of the top boys who can win majors with his B, if not C game. We've seen that from him in the past when he's gone on to win the UK Open, I think it was, and the European Championships, where he's played 2 or 3 games on that final day, where not really averaged over 95 for the day, but he's still gone on to lift titles because he's got that edginess and he's got that bottle under pressure that we've seen tonight on those finishing stats. 10 from 12 on the outer ring he's finished. He was 8 from 8 at one point, and the only thing that stopped that rhythm was the dart of the ball. Because let's be honest, he's gone 48 for 36 on 84 anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's you summed it up perfect there with the word bottle, as in he's got that in abundance and he knows how to win games. He knows, right, I haven't got my A game, but if I hit a mid-90, 97 average with my B game, I'll win this game. And that's what he does. And that's why he goes to the final day in a lot of these tournaments, is because he produces a high B. His B game is good enough to win. His C game, if he reverts to that sort of level, is good enough to win. And Yeah, Edhouse, I think, after a 3-2 up, was averaging something silly. And obviously, it's very hard to maintain that sort of average over a longer format. But Rob Cross just didn't phase him at all and just took control from there and ended up, 8 from 8 is disgusting. 10 from 12 is disgusting as well. As in, one of the missed asks of the double was the ball. What more can you do with this?
Well, he could have hit it, but
Well, yeah.
Let's hear then from the unflappable Rob Cross in his post-match press conference.
I managed to get that out, and I think he motivated me the first 5 legs. When he started giving it out at the 164, and then he did, and I kept bouncing from there. I could collapse now. Yeah, I suppose so. But what I would say about Richie, look, he's had his best year by far, and he's not going to go away overnight. I really like the fella. I think he's great. His wife's great, Tara. For me, look, that's sometimes it's just a bit of a learning curve. You've got to take it in your stride, because we're always going to get knockbacks. I had thousands after I won the World Championship, so I know how that feels. And look, it's all about being professional and other stuff, and he's going to get that aspect. And when he gets that, if he keeps with that game, he's not going to be a million miles away every week. That's what I would say.
High praise from Rob Cross, but it is Voltage who moves into the quarterfinals, not Richie Edhouse this time. However, he is set to play someone he played in his group in Martin Lukeman, which is one of the most stupid things that this tournament has going for it. And that says a lot, because there are some pretty stupid things in the setup of the Grand Slam of darts. A reminder, by the way, that the interviews are available in full on our YouTube channel where you're watching this show right now. You can catch them at the end of this show. If you really want to leave right now and catch one of them, you're more than welcome to do so. While you're over there, drop us a like on each of the videos. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you get notified every single time that we post one of those interviews. And get involved in the comment section as well. If there's anything you want to chat about or anything you notice from each of those interviews, make sure you fire it into those. Diving into the chat room a little bit more, Tyson's got a couple of thoughts on the last couple of sections. So I think guys like Lukeman, Mansel and Edhouse are just playing loose. They have less pressure on themselves than the others who have men missing multiple opportunities at titles. These guys are just playing the game very carefree. Not that they don't want to win. I just don't think they're pressuring themselves as other more common names are doing. Once you've made a steady enough earning in the sport, then anything else is a bonus. Plenty of opportunities out there on the Pro Tour and the Euro Tour, if you can get into them. There's something to be said as well when these guys know that in the back of their mind that players like Smith and Humphreys are already out of the tourney. That does well for one's game. I'd say the opposite for that one, actually. I think once they're out, they start getting that glint in their eye that they can win it. And I think that puts pressure on the big moments and the big doubles going, actually, I've got a chance here, rather than it's not a free roll. Once the big names are out, it's not a free roll. It's a Pro Tour board final with players that you play week in, week out. Like, that's different from me. So much for the PDC deliberately trying to ensure the quarters features the season. I mean, they've given them as much protection as possible with this double bracket seeding that I absolutely cannot stand. And so far, Rob Cross is the only one through. We have 2 more tomorrow, and I think there's a chance we could lose one, if not both of them, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to predict tomorrow night's matches. Still races to 10, best of 19. Chat room, fire in your predictions for all 4 at once, actually. That saves me reading out 6 million comments on every single one. So we have Watermainer versus Vandenberg, Luke Littler against Mike Dedeker, Gary Anderson against Stephen Bunting, and Gian Van Veen against Ryan Joyce. We're going to predict them one by one. If you want to tally yours up and shout them at the end, that would make a lot more sense as we're going along. So starting with you, Carwin, the battle between the Group E winner and the Group F runner-up, Jermaine Watermainer against Dimitri Vandenberg.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. As in, obviously, Vandenberg is the higher-ranked player, but Watermainer seems to have become a new man over the last couple of weeks. And I think he gets the better of his Belgian opponent. I think 10-7 Watamina. I just think the way he's playing at the moment, he might not get too bothered by the antics, and he gets over the line.
I'm the opposite. I think as much as I've enjoyed seeing this resurgence from Jermaine Watamena, and I think a large part of it is him setting the dart before he completely unloads. I've seen very similar from Marvin van Veltzen at the Super Series, who is the reigning Series 8 champion. I think the pace of Dimitri Vandenberg will completely mess with Jermaine Watamena. I think Dimmy's got that ability to just take the sting out of a game whenever he wants it. Mansel Sulovic isn't the fastest in the world, but he plays at a rhythm, and that was the game where Watamena won 5-4. His other two wins in that group, 5-2 against Hideka and 5-1 against Michael Smith, who both get on with it at a much more likeable pace, I think. So I think the pace of Dimmy is going to be a big, big factor in this one, and I think he beats Jermaine 10-6. On to the second game, and it is the reigning Grand Prix champion, Mike Hideka, taking on the Premier League champion, the World Championship finalist, the World Series champion, and 4-9 darters or something stupid this year already, Luke Littler. It's not been a happy hunting ground in the middle part of this year for Luke Littler, but he is a big, big favourite to win this tournament now if he can keep his head on, surely.
Oh, definitely. I think what we've seen now is that he's completed FIFA and his darts head is back on, and the way he breezed through his group stage, even though Hideka is playing the best he's played on tour, he comes in full of confidence, having won the Grand Prix. I think Littler wins quite comfortable, and I'm going to give Hideka 5 legs, but I can't see him being able to keep up with the scoring that Littler's shown so far this week to put him under much more pressure than that. So I'm going to say 10-5 Littler.
I think Luke wins it, but I think it's 10-7. I think the beauty of an extra long format, or race to 10, and then even more, race to 16 and whatever as we progress through the tournament, which is a stupid number for all 3 rounds to be the same, by the way. There needs to be a progression in that. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. The advantage Luke now has is he's not going to produce 108 for 19 legs or whatever number of legs to win a quarterfinal if he gets that far. But what he is now going to be able to do is just produce a spurt of 4 or 5 legs that take a game away from someone. And I think there's only a couple of players left in the field that have that in them. And Luke's ability to do that is probably the best out of the lot. And it also allows him to have a little bit of a dip. Now, he can't have a dip for too long, and it is almost inevitable from the highs that Littler has been playing at that he's going to have some sort of a dip. It's how quickly he can snap out of that. That's why I'm giving Hideka 7 legs, because if he can keep plugging away, keep his first dart nice and high and open the bed up, he's got a chance to stick with him. But I think 10-7 Luke Littler. Final quarter of the draw, and what a tie this is. It doesn't get any easier for Gary Anderson, who we've been a little bit critical of this year for not performing on TV the way he has on the floor. But he does take on the bullet, Stephen Bunting, in the last 16. How do you see this one going?
I think Gary wins it, but I think it'll be close. I want to say a last leg decider, but I can sort of see if Gary wins the bull, breaking the 18th leg to win 10-8. I'd really like a last leg decider, but I think Gary wins 10-8 in a Grand Slam Classic.
I would love nothing more than to see Gary Anderson lift the Grand Slam. I said that last night. It's the one title he's been hunting. He can retire a happy man. It might just be the kick up the backside to go to Ali Pali and do something special again in a few weeks' time. But there's a baby boom in the Bunting household. They've just given birth to their second child, which is timeline-wise not too far off the Masters, shall we say, in celebration. And I think Bunting will get the job done in this one. I think 10-8 For me, I'm going the opposite way to you for the bullet. And on to the final game in the second round. Gian Van Veen was outstanding in coming through that group of death, Group H. His reward is a shot at Ryan Joyce.
I fear that Ryan Joyce may have played his final in getting over the line against MVG. I think winning that game to get out the groups will have thrown him through a roller coaster of emotions. And I think because of the way Van Veen played in his group and sort of the ease, I guess, he got through from a very tough group. I think he wins 10-7. If he can find his scoring boots, I don't know if Joyce is consistent enough to compete with him, to put him under enough pressure to get over the line. So yeah, Van Veen 10-7 for me in this one.
See, I think Ryan Joyce is consistent enough. And like I said, I've been very, very impressed with Gian in that Group H. His average has been nothing short of exceptional. But I think the gap between Gian's A game and B game is still far too wide. And I think Ryan Joyce's A game and B game sit within that gap. And over this distance, if Gian isn't on it, Ryan Joyce has a real opportunity to take advantage of that. And I think that's what he'll do. And I think he'll win it 10-7 for me. Right, let's go through some chat room predictions before we wrap up tonight's show. We'll come to your question in a moment, Lendl. Jamie's 4 predictions are Watermain, Littler, Anderson, and Van Veen. Excuse me. Daniel says all faves for me. Only upset is possible. Van Veen getting beat. Yeah. Joe Snelson has got Watermain, Gian, Littler, and Anderson. Yeah, that's possible. Jamie's got Vandenberg 10-6. Can't see past Watermain, Littler, Ando. All boxed up says Watermain, Littler, Anderson, Joyce. A lot of people backing Jermaine over Dimmy in this one. Bob, one of our members, says Dimmy, Littler, Gando, and Joyce, which would make both of the quarterfinals repeats of group games we'd already seen. Only thing I will say is the bookie's being brave with a Dedeker price. That game isn't a walkover. Haven't seen the prices yet, but if they've got him anything worse than 2-1, then yeah, I'd certainly be having a look at that. Watermain of Van Veen, Anderson, I think there's a good chance for a 10-9 Dedeker upset of Littler, says Tyson. Patrick's gone scorelines. This is what we like from the chat. He says 10-7 Dimmy, 10-4 Littler, 10-7 Gary, 10-6 Van Veen. Interesting. Big margin of victory for Luke Littler there. Daniel says Dedeker is good, but not Littler good. They have both won majors this year. Looking forward to when Littler he ages a little and he gets the true killer instinct. Yeah, I mean, if he manages to do that, he's been messing around with the crowd all week as well. It's been brilliant to see, but if he finds that killer instinct as well, he will be some player. Jamie Wyman, the score lines have gone Dimmy 10-6, Littler 10-6, Van Veen 10-7, Anderson 10-8. Tyson also says, I think Dedeker's pace of play will wreak havoc on Littler's average as a whole. Bob says, hopefully we don't see repeated matches from the group again. Yet most people seem to be predicting both of those, if not just the one. And that is where we're going to wrap up tonight's show. A big thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been absolutely amazing tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night, or well, the team will be. I'll be on stage at the Super Series this time tomorrow. So yeah, it's up to someone else, probably Dan, who is currently treating his lovely wife for her birthday. So we'll get him back in for you guys tomorrow evening and on Friday. The live lounge will return on Monday to review all of the action from this and look ahead to the Players' Championship finals in Minehead. And some big news. The PDC have announced when the World Championship draw will be. That'll be Monday the 25th, following the final qualifier for players that haven't made it to the World Championships. That'll be earlier on in the day. So expect a slightly earlier live lounge from us that day. We'll give you all the details from that one as soon as we know that. Big thank you to everyone in the chat room for following us. Reminder, if you want to catch up with all of the interviews in full, head over to our YouTube channel where you are now and find which player you want to listen to. Drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, follow us on all of our socials, and a big thank you to Carwyn for joining me this evening, as he has done for the majority of the week so far. We've been Online Darts. This has been the Fallout Bar, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.